Welcome back to The Explainer. So, today we're diving into a concept that literally changes how we view every major breakthrough in modern science. We're going to explore something I like to call the collaborative cosmos. And trust me, it completely redefines how real discovery actually happens.
Okay, be honest for a second. When you picture a groundbreaking scientist, what comes to mind? A lone genius, right? Maybe working late at night in a dark, isolated lab, suddenly yelling, Eureka! After a solitary breakthrough? Well, scratch that. That whole lone wolf narrative, it's basically a total myth today. Because in reality, to crack today's truly unsolvable mysteries, that isolated model just doesn't work anymore. Science is deeply, deeply connected.
And that brings us to the real engine of discovery interdisciplinary research collaboration. Now, sure, that sounds like a massive academic mouthful, but it essentially just means getting experts from totally different fields into the same room to solve incredibly complex problems. By tapping into the unique strengths of each specific discipline, teams can tackle these hurdles way more efficiently. It directly leads to faster, far more robust solutions. It is essentially the ultimate intellectual team-up. So, here's our roadmap for this explainer. We'll start by officially putting the myth of solo science to rest, then we'll look at decoding the human genome, tackling massive issues like climate and disease, exploring the future of AI, and finally, we're taking things all the way into deep space.
Starting us off, number 1, the myth of solo science. Moving right along to number 2, decoding the human genome.
Think about the iconic double helix of a DNA strand. To really understand something that foundational, you can't just rely on biology alone. You actually have this whole orbit of other fields, chemistry, physics, ethics, engineering, all circling and supporting that biological core. It's almost like a solar system of disciplines just to understand our own genetic makeup.
Take the Human Genome Project when they finally accomplished that massive feat of sequencing the entire genome back in 2003. It wasn't just biologists peering through microscopes. They absolutely needed genetics, sure, but they also heavily relied on informatics and computer science. Without the raw computing power to organize and crunch those numbers, the biologists would have literally drowned in a sea of genetic data. Blending biological science with hard computing power was absolutely mandatory to hit that 2003 milestone.
Up next, part 3, tackling climate and disease.
Let's zoom out and compare two massive global challenges side by side: climate change and medical research, like curing cancer. Now, if you're studying the climate, you obviously need atmospheric scientists and ecologists. But you know what else you desperately need? Economists and sociologists, because climate change is heavily driven by human behavior and global markets. You need sociologists to understand that human impact. Now flip over to cancer research, you expect your oncologists and geneticists, but you also need pharmacologists and, believe it or not, statisticians to make accurate sense of complex clinical trial data. So whether you're modeling the global climate or trying to cure cancer, you need a highly diverse army of experts.
Let's move to part 4, the future of AI. When you think about advanced robotics or artificial intelligence interacting with humans, you quickly realize it's not just a bunch of metal, wires, and code. Not even close. To build a machine that can actually understand and interact with us naturally, you have to deeply understand the human mind itself first. This modern tech magic is basically a 2-step process. Step 1 is the collaboration. You've got computer science, heavy math, and engineering teaming up directly with neuroscience and psychology. You're literally merging the hard sciences with the study of the brain and behavior. And step 2 is the incredible result of that exact merger. The only reason we have self-driving cars, or advanced machine learning, or smart voice assistants that can actually understand natural language is because engineers decided to step out of their silos and collaborate with psychologists and neuroscientists.
And finally, Section 5, teamwork in deep space.
Think about organizations like NASA or the International Space Station. We automatically picture astrophysicists, planetary scientists, the rocket engineers, the folks building the hardware. But keeping human beings alive in zero gravity, that is a whole different ballgame. Biology and medicine are just as crucial on that roster. You absolutely need medical doctors and biologists working seamlessly, side by side with those rocket engineers, to safely investigate the cosmos. It really is the ultimate pinnacle of teamwork.
Which brings us to our final lingering thought.
From mapping our very own DNA down on a microscopic level, all the way to launching the ISS into orbit, we've seen time and time again that shared knowledge is the true engine of human progress. The future absolutely belongs to those who collaborate. So, I'll leave you with this. What unsolvable problem do you think we could crack next if the right disciplines finally step out of their silos and just work together? Think about that for a bit, and keep your curiosity alive. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and I will catch you next time.